I'm feeling this pressure to like make sure my client stuff done, but I can't get the next client and grow my business without also working on my business. So it was so hard to juggle. One thing I did was I got connected with a women entrepreneurs community so that I could actually talk to people about this kind of stuff and like hear what they've done and what they're struggling with and just not feel alone and not feel like I have to beat myself up or I'm like defective in some way because I can't handle all of this stuff, which is more than anyone could handle.
Yeah. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Sobriety Diaries, a video podcast where we share powerful stories of recovery that inspire hope and offer support to those affected by addiction. I'm your host, Nate Kelly, creator of the show and recovering alcoholic 8.5 years from my last drink. I'm also a lover of human connection. I started the show during the pandemic when I lost that connection, and it has grown beyond my wildest dreams. We just surpassed 1 million downloads. So thank you so much for that support, and let's open today's diary. There are some people who mean so much to me, especially through connecting in the online world of recovery. There are some people who always say yes when you call. There are some people who just hold a special place in my heart. And today's conversation is one of those people. She is the founder of the Sober Biz Collective, which is a community for sober entrepreneurs. She offers other unbuzzed creators things such as a website in a weekend and monthly masterminds to elevate your brand. Personally, Brooke has built several websites for both the Sobriety Diaries and Pod Studio. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a sober human, and my friend, Brooke Robichaud. Welcome, Brooke. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm great. That made me sound pretty cool.
You are pretty cool. I have the same, when I hear someone do an intro, the imposter syndrome is real, right?
Yeah, I'm like, don't tell them. People are gonna be like,
Don't tell them we are still hot messes
yeah,
and
exactly. Don't look
have
behind the
more
curtain.
success. Yeah, yeah. Isn't it interesting? I feel, and it sounds like you do too. I know that you do based on our personal conversations, but it seems like we have more success helping other people than we do figuring out our own shit, right?
A million percent. I think that's actually like the key to sobriety and the key to life is I think we can see other people's stuff way easier than we can see our own stuff. And that's why we really need community.
It's so true. I often say, I talk about it probably in every episode. People find their own path to recovery. There are now more modalities than ever, but I think the constant in all of those is community and
Mm.
finding like-minded people in recovery or mental health awareness. You got to find your tribe, right?
Yeah, that is absolutely the key. That's what got me staying sober. Like I tried
Yeah.
so many times on my own, but not having a sober community made it impossible because all your friends go out and then you're just by yourself and there's no one to help you kind of walk through those moments of just like loneliness and missing out and insecurity and terror.
Yeah.
And yeah, just having a community of people that have walked the walk before you, I think is really powerful. And then
Hmm.
also having people that you can help and support helps bring purpose and meaning to your life. And it's been a beautiful journey in business and in sobriety.
Yes, I mentioned the Sober Biz Collective.
Hmm.
You and I have worked on several projects, and I experienced the website in a weekend. So I want to, we've gone through the details of your personal story before here on the podcast. So I kind of want to take it into the sober entrepreneur aspect of our lives and how really the sky's the limit once our head is clear and we're actually experiencing life and the possibilities in recovery. So how let's talk about the start of the business and how it has evolved to the Sober Biz Collective.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was as obsessed as I was with partying and drinking, I was also obsessed with building businesses and joining MLMs. So
Yes.
it was really, and I never joined MLMs to sell anything. I just wanted to create a brand around whatever it was.
Like learn the tactics, right?
Yeah, I was like, I want to build the Instagram account that's going to talk about these eyelashes that I'm going to
Mm.
sell, but then I would like build it all and then just leave it and never talk about it again, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I found that my kind of star power, I guess, is really building things. And the problem is I can only build so many things for myself, right? Like I've had a thrift shop and a videography business. I did wedding photography and videography for a long time. I was hosting a podcast for a long time. And through that podcast, people were actually coming to me and being like, who did your website? And, who did your podcast branding and all that kind of stuff? And I was like, well, I did. And I never even thought about doing that stuff as a business. It was like nothing I formally learned in school. I did go in grade 7 to a Women in Technology conference and learned how to code a website at IBM. So that was
Which
really
still
cool.
baffles me. Yeah, that
Yeah.
seems like an honor, that probably few children got.
I was the only one at my school. There was a lot of
Yes.
women there. Well, children, girls. We were in grade 7. It was
Women, children.
1999. The computer room smelled very funky.
Oh, I bet. Gosh.
But yeah, I definitely developed a love for technology at that conference that has carried me through my entire life. When you're in it, you don't see it as like something people are going to need. It just feels like this weird little hobby that you have, and it's kind of quirky and awkward that that's the kind of stuff I was into doing. But it really has ended up serving me well. And I think the cool thing about business and about how I've operated, and something I've also had a lot of insecurity about, is I keep trying new things and I keep going into the next thing and building the next brand. And it's just so cool how now I see how all of that has come together so that I can be so helpful to people that want to start a clothing business or want to start their own podcast or want to start a photography business, or like all these things that I've tried out over the years are now getting used to help my clients. And I think a lot of people are afraid just to start because they don't want to mess up. But in messing up, that's how I learned everything that I know and how I've become valuable and helpful, and able to serve my clients. So, yeah, I just
Yes.
kind of started this business by accident with so much imposter syndrome. And it was honestly clients like you who sent me messages like, fuck, I'm obsessed.
I didn't know that text that I sent would like live now in infamy, but yes, that
I
that
kept
is
it
an
anonymous,
accurate text. Yeah.
but I was like, that helped me feel like, okay, maybe this is a thing. And I know, and it is valuable to people and they see the value in it because it's so hard when
Yeah.
it's not something you've like traditionally learned in school to feel that confidence about what you're doing, right?
Yeah. And also, you have this way of capturing, I think, the personality of the entrepreneur or the business. And that isn't something that you learn necessarily. And I think that over the years and doing different branding for different industries or professions has really shown. And you
Mm.
have this way of capturing, what, at least for me and several experiences, what I want to convey through a website or through branding. And fuck, yeah, I was obsessed for sure.
It's so
um,
cool. The more I learn, though, like I want to go back and like fix everybody's websites and be
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, I feel like we can make this better again. I might do that. I might do like a brand reset package or something coming up,
Oh,
just
that's cool.
because
Yeah.
technology has evolved so much since I've started my business with like AI tools and like all different kinds of stuff. And I've learned so much over the 3 years that I've been doing this that, yeah, it would be cool to like go back
It's a
and
great
revamp some
idea.
old sites. Yeah.
It's so interesting now too with the evolution of technology and all of these new platforms or benefits that seem to pop up daily. I mean, we've talked about this on our other show, Unplugged, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But
Nice plug.
yeah, how we can our businesses evolve and we can add different services or, you know, uh, an a la carte menu, you know, where you can kind of pick and pull things that to personalize the experience. And that's a perfect example. I love that brand reset.
Yeah, I feel for me personally, I'm like ready to redo my brand with every season. Like this
I
summer,
know.
I want to like brighten it up.
Yes.
Um,
It's the
so
alcoholic in us.
it is, but I'd rather my efforts go to something like that, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
I love how you talked about the evolution too, because that's been a big piece in my recent business. Like I've been really service based and just working one on one with clients for the first like 3 years of my business, and just have launched into building more of a community space for sober entrepreneurs. And it has just been so valuable to get around like minded people who are just like ready to thrive in life or thriving in life and learning from each other and connecting with each other. It's like changed my business. It's grown my social media following without me putting any effort into it
Yeah.
on my sober biz, and like just that one-on-one connection in person with people I'm finding just so much value in. My business was built so much online through a pandemic, and you know, there wasn't the opportunity to really connect in person. And like web design, 90% of my clients were in the States. So now I'm like meeting local people. I've just loved it. And I'm feeling there's like a big evolution of my brand about to happen.
It's amazing. As entrepreneurs, speaking of sort of, well, I mentioned the alcoholic nature of sort of updating and changing things. I've also found sort of, you know, as an entrepreneur, it's hard to keep a regular schedule and clock out, particularly when you're working from a home office. And I find some of those negative behaviors, sort of that were associated with my addiction, sometimes, you know, creeping up in, you know, a workaholic nature or not cutting, you know, saving time for myself and my family. Have you experienced those? And what would you say maybe to someone who is experiencing that as a bit of your own experience?
That has been a huge struggle for me. And I feel like there's a space for it and it gets used for good, but it's such a big lesson to kind of find your boundaries with work. I'm a mom of three. I built my business homeschooling my kids and like,
Crazy.
and I was obsessed and I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have ADHD. So when I get focused on something, I can't stop. I built this little office. This used to be a closet. There was a twisted metal poster on top of a dresser here. And like, this was all closed like 3 days ago. when I,
Use of space. I love a good use of space.
when I get like hyper focused on something, like I can't stop until it's done. And because I have this fear that I'm not going to pick it up again if I put it
Yeah.
down, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that has to do with ADHD, and I'm definitely working on that. But yeah, when I started my business, I was up to like 4 in the morning because I'm trying to do things when the kids are asleep. I'm doing client work, but then I'm also trying to build my own personal brand. So I'm feeling this pressure to like make sure my client stuff done, but I can't get the next client and grow my business without also working on my business. So it was so hard to juggle. One thing I did was I got connected with a women entrepreneurs community so that I could actually talk to people about this kind of stuff and like hear what they've done and what they're struggling with, and just not feel alone and not feel like I have to beat myself up or I'm like defective in some way because I can't handle all of this stuff, which is more than anyone could handle, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also going through grief at the same time, like emotionally, I felt really unstable. I was like terrified of seeming unreliable, but I felt really unreliable. And I really pushed through, and I had a breaking point that just like brought me to the ground, and kind of all my worst nightmares came through, and I was like dropping the ball and not being able to like answer emails or open my computer. Like I just hit a wall that was so intense. And I just took some time to like really work on myself. That's the beauty of running your own business, is that we can create these schedules. The thing that I'm really, really bad at is communicating that with like other people because I have that shame, you know, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to tell you I'm struggling. I don't want to tell you that I can't do this. I'm just going to wait till I feel better, get everything done I needed to get done, and then I'll come to you. And so that is something I've had to work on because the communication is all you need. Like, just let people know. I
Yeah.
have a motto on my website that's like imperfection only because I put so much pressure on myself to try and do my business perfectly that it stopped me from being able to do my business. So now I make it like my mission to be imperfect and just move forward and get the things done and let there be spelling mistakes. And then we go back and we fix them and we make them better, right?
Yes.
I don't even know if that
And
answered your question.
yeah, absolutely did. And I think
Okay.
that, there's like an authenticity to that other people, I think, connect to and will appreciate, aside from this perfectionist, um, you know, portrait that we see on social media and is unachievable and not realistic, even, to be honest. So I think
Yeah.
that will resonate, with people and attract the type of client that you want to work with, right? Because it is a two-way street.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's this huge push online to show up as the expert in your industry, like be the expert in your industry. And that is great. And it does help people feel kind of secure giving you their money. However, however, you can also show up if you don't feel like the expert and you're just acting like you feel like the expert, that people can tell.
Yeah,
You're on a camera, you're this close, like it's obvious.
you're right.
And if you're not the expert, you don't feel like the expert, you haven't embodied that expert energy yet, it's okay to show up like you're figuring it out and to
Hmm.
show up like you're learning and to be excited about that phase. And that's really, I think, what's kind of set me apart from a lot of other entrepreneurs online is that we're in this together. We're building this business together. Like you guys, my clients, are helping me grow at the same time that I'm helping you grow your brand, right? Like we're walking side and side and I learn so much from each of my clients as well and each of their needs I have to learn a new skill for. So yeah, it's been a really cool way to move forward and evolve in my business.
I love that. And it is always evolving. You mentioned when we first started these sort of live events and, embracing that community and setting up sober events and recording with other creators in your area. What's that experience been like, I guess, to take podcasting mobile
Yeah.
and reach out to others, in your area?
Okay, so you know what? Spite is a
What?
really good motivator. And I've wanted to
Whatever
do
it
this.
takes.
Yeah, I've wanted to do this for so long. It was one of the things I dreamed about when I first started my business. I love doing events. I wanted to be an event planner when I was little. I had like books I would read on becoming an event planner, and I really have got to live out that dream with my client in Power to Recover. Like we've been doing these live events, but I've found that I've had a really hard time traveling, and so I haven't been able to attend all their events. Like my nervous system just goes insane. I feel like I can't sleep. It's just really hard on my body. And then I've got kids I've got to find out where to like send them and whatever. So
Yeah. You can't
so it
just
wasn't
pick
easy.
up and head out.
Yeah, and so I felt like I was missing out on a lot and then I came across an Instagram account that had kind of copied my brand. Even like the
Okay.
logo.
Shut it.
Similar ish name, similar ish. Like I do the hive, the bee. Those are like my
Yes.
symbols, right?
The
Because the
unbuzzed, like,
unbuzzed, yeah.
yeah.
So it was very similar, and there was like six of them,
Huh.
and they were all very professional and demure.
Demure, if you will.
And I was like, I was ready to hit like the F it button and throw in the towel and be like, oh, they're gonna do a better job than me anyway, kind of thing, right? But what they were doing is like creating a membership site for sober entrepreneurs. And it's something I've wanted to do for so long. And I've wanted to do courses and I've wanted to do
Yeah.
live events and I've wanted to do all these things. And I've just been working on my other client stuff and just putting my stuff off and putting my stuff off. So that lit a fire under me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I made a really good connection with a sober bottle shop owner in my area. And so I like messaged her at like 12 a.m. We're gonna do this while I still
Yes.
have the like gusto.
Right.
And I fortunately had been working these events with Empower to Recover and knew how to put something together and have built a small community here. And like more people showed up to our first event than I had expected. The second one was even bigger. Our third one's coming up. And it was literally like magic. It was, you know, those moments where you just kind of step away and you're like, oh, this is what I'm here for. This is what
Yes.
I'm meant to do. Like I had that feeling so intense. And it really feels like the next step in my business because the problem with working one-on-one with clients is there's only one of me and I have a busy home life. So I hit a wall pretty quick on what I can earn in a month
Yeah.
unless I start charging like 5 grand for a website, which is not uncommon, I've found out, but
Absolutely not.
that doesn't serve the
They're out
community
there.
I want to serve, you know?
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
help people that are in recovery, that are rebuilding their lives, that might not have the resources like that to get started. So one thing I'm looking at is doing like website templates so that it's way more accessible. I can help way more people that way. And I'm just trying to look at ways I can scale my business, make it more accessible for my clients, really reach the target demographic that I want to. And yeah, just build a community and not be doing this alone anymore. It's been a lonely entrepreneur journey, you know?
That's another thing. Yeah. Especially as a digital entrepreneur, it's like I could go a week without leaving the house and not realizing it. And especially if there's like a project based or like a time frame, a deadline where it's like laser focused. It can be lonely.
Oh
And
my
for
gosh, yeah.
me, as a addict who tends to recede and isolate myself as a character defect, that's not good. So reaching out and being part of communities and other groups is critical, for me in my business and my recovery as well.
100%. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like when you're in that mode, sometimes the only time I ever see people is when we're collaborating on a project, you know?
So true.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is how you and I came together on one of our projects, and we created Unplugged, the podcast for digital entrepreneurs. It really was born out of the fact that this accountability and working with someone on a project where we know that we have to show up, that we have commitments and that we can hold each other accountable. And that was huge. We probably wouldn't have finished season one had we not been holding each other accountable, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
No,
And you know,
I think
there's snags,
yeah, we
there's
were
things that
both.
happen. Yeah. But I love that. I love when you get together with someone and it's not perfect and things happen and then you find a way to get past that and then I feel like you get stronger afterwards. Then all of a
Yes.
sudden communication gets easier and stuff gets easier. There's like this leadership course I took and they talked about kind of team projects and there's like phases of it where it's um, forming, storming, and norming. So the forming process, everyone's super excited. We're ready to work together. We all have
Yeah.
like our best foot forward and
Gung
best
ho. Like,
intentions. Yeah.
yeah.
And then the storming happens and you kind of get to know people's quirks and you're like, oh, I don't really know if I like that. And you kind of butt heads a little bit. And that should happen. That should happen if you're being authentic in um, who you are, you know, and you're not just like
Yeah.
masking the entire time. There should be a
Right.
part where, you know, life's kind of heavy, things aren't the best, and you've got to work through some friction in a team or in a collaboration. That's so normal. And I feel like a lot of people quit at that part. But if you push back that, there's the norming phase where everything kind of levels out. It becomes easier to work as a team. You get to know each other better. You don't take things as personally because you're like, okay, I know they're just kind of like in their own world right now. They need some time to isolate. They're going to come back. I'm not worried about it, right?
Yeah. Leave it to Brooke for the acronyms and the. I still use ass to this
I love
day
ass.
with my clients. Tell us what ass is, just so people don't think we're crazy from a branding perspective, marketing.
So ask is attract, serve, and sell. I don't know if I made this up, but it was like a download that came to me. But then
Yeah.
also I watched so much stuff on TikTok and like branding stuff.
Yeah.
So it's possible I heard it somewhere, but I might have made this up. It's attract, serve, sell, and it's about how to kind of categorize the content that you want to make on social media as a business owner. So you want to you use your attraction content to build your community, and then serve the community that you have, and then your sales content. And so if you think of it as like an S triangle, your attraction should be your main focus, and then
Yeah.
service is the next most important, and then sales should be kind of tucked in to the bottom. Just algorithm wise, if you're trying to sell something on Instagram, Instagram's like, no, you're gonna have to pay for an ad, right? So
Yeah.
so it's not as lucrative. And what I'm finding at working really well for my clients is actually, instead of like selling on Instagram, have a free offer that you can kind of drive people to and collect their information and then sell to them in email.
Yes. The email list is a gold mine and where you're going to, I think, make the deepest connection, not connection, but the most impact,
Yeah.
as opposed to, a reel. That's where you're attracting, but not necessarily selling.
Yeah, I think the conversion rate's like 1% on social media. 1% of people that see your content are going to actually click a button. So,
Yeah,
but an email, it's like 4 to 10%. Like the conversion rate's so much higher.
cool. Brooke, I always like to leave people with some tangible guidance, not
Mm.
advice, but using your own experience to offer some hope. So, we have a lot of listeners in early recovery. So, thinking back to when we were there and dreaming about a day where any of this would be possible, but still
Mm.
struggling to get out of bed. How can you offer some hope based on your own experience to those who may still be struggling?
Ooh, that just gave me the feels, Nate. That's so real. I can tell you like everything I started a vision board book when I first got sober, and I just started putting like experiences and things that I wanted to do after I got sober, and I just started dreaming. And almost every single one of those things have come true. I even had a cruise in there, and now because of my skills of a videographer, I'm working with a company that is going to be sending me on a cruise. You know what
Come
I
on.
mean? So it's all gonna happen. It's all possible. I think another thing that I really want to stress, like there was some really hard moments in early recovery. I faced so many of my insecurities. My recovery journey has been full of grief, and all of that pain, everything I've gone through. Um, if I didn't pick up a drink and just got through it, I became stronger on the other side of it. I learned more about myself, and every single little hurt, um, trial, triumph, all of it got used to help somebody else get through it. Like nothing goes to waste, and there's going to be meaning. But if you're like in the mud, like just be in the mud. The bright side is coming,
Yes.
it's going to be
Yes.
there. And just the most beautiful growth has happened for me going through the hardest times in my business and in my life. So,
So grateful that we crossed paths now, what,
me
almost 4
too.
years ago?
I know.
Yes, and our story continues. Stay tuned. Brooke and I have yet to discuss season 2 of Unplugged, but I'm sure we'll get to it here soon. You can
Yeah,
check out more information at soberbizco.com. I'll tag Brooke's socials in today's show notes. Brooke, I love catching up. Thanks for
me
making time
too.
today.
Absolutely. Next time we'll do it a couple hours later.
Thanks so much, friends, for listening today and for downloading our episodes. Hopefully, you heard something that resonates with you and inspires you to help others. Check out all of our video interviews at youtube.com/Nate Kelly. You can also find me on all social platforms at Podcast Nate. Please share our podcast with one person in your life who may need it today. Addiction can be so isolating, but just know you are never alone. Lastly, friends, I have a favor to ask. Please rate and review the Sobriety Diaries on whatever platform you're currently listening on. It really helps the show gain new listeners and traction with the algorithm. Just click on our show profile, scroll down to rate and review. It just takes a few seconds. Hit the subscribe button while you're there so you never miss an upload. We're back with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember, everyone has a story. Yours could help save a life. Bye, friends.